Yeah. So, hello, everybody. I'm speaking with Boris Kester, who's visited every country in the world. And thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me about your travels, about your travel philosophy, and everything. It really means a lot. So, to start, I would like to know about your origin, your travel origin. How did the dream form? What kept you motivated also throughout the toughest moments? How did you decide that I'm going to visit every country in the world?
Yes, that's a good question. I just want to say hello to everyone as well. Thanks for inviting me to this interview. It's always good to speak to really young people like you who still have a life ahead of them. Um, I think you might be comparing to your age, you might be ahead of me because I think you have visited 50 countries and I'm not sure I had visited 50 countries when I had your age. So anyway.
Yes, yes, thank
So yes, I'm Boris Kester from the Netherlands. And yeah, well, we no one is born with the idea to visit every country. So this is something that grows on you. And in my case, when I was only 5 months old, my parents took me to Greece. They put me in a travel cot. They took me on a train to Greece, which is like a more than 2 day travel, and then by boat to Crete, and then we walked. Well, they walked all over Crete with me. So even before I was able to walk or talk, I was already traveling, and I got used to like hearing different languages, eating different food, seeing different people, strange people, uh, being in a strange environment. So I always believe that this is when I basically started to become a traveler because I don't remember, of course, because I was too young for that. But and then when I was a little bit older, they took my sister and me to many places. I started recording them in diaries, and this is when I started also counting because I was always excited to go to like a new country. So I started counting the countries I had been to even before I was 10 years old. So I think this is when I subconsciously started uh, to work towards visiting every country. But it then when I was older, I always made sure to go to countries I hadn't been before, just out of curiosity. And then when I was already way over halfway every country, I decided, well, something big happened in my life, and I had to reevaluate a lot of things, and I decided, you know what, this will be my life goal. So I will, I will work towards visiting the remaining
remaining.
75 countries. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but this is already, what is it, 18 years ago.
Yes, so I can relate with you so much because when I was 2 years old, my parents were also pushing me around a pram in Hong Kong.
There you
So
go.
yeah, so something like that happened with me as well. And even from a young age, my parents gifted me a map where I used to scratch out, you can scratch out the country. And then I was like, oh, I've been here as well. Oh, I've been here as well. And then I also started counting countries and I just saw how big the world is and how much there is to see. And the world is a big place. It's not a small place. So there's too lot of things to see, a lot of things to explore. So that's how my motivations also shaped up. That's how I also started counting countries. I also started making goals that, I want to visit every continent. Then it went to, I want to visit every country. Then it just keeps expanding like that. And I think that's what happened with you as well. So,
Absolutely.
so that is,
I think we share, and also with many other people, we share just a very genuine curiosity. Like
Curiosity.
when you look at the map and you try to imagine every place you see, every mountain or sea or country or border, it's like, what does it look like when you really go there?
Yes.
And it's there's no limit. I mean, you can even when you visit every country, there are still so many places you haven't been to because you it's impossible to see everything, obviously. So yeah,
Yes.
it's great to talk about this
Yes.
um, this
It
inner
always
desire.
makes it always makes me excited about travel when I talk about these things. Also, I feel us visiting us trying to visit as many countries as possible. I feel many people are restricted in some sort of way because of misconceptions which they have because of going to some countries, and because of how things are portrayed. I would say there's a lot of negativity in some sense around places. I have visited places which I don't even know people have heard of. Like I'm planning to go to Tunisia, and people are like, "Where is that? Like, where is Tunisia?" So, so what do you think about people not trying to visit unexplored places? They only want to go to Italy or France, or I would say the Instagrammable moments. They're trying to chase something which they already know. They're not going for the unexpected. So, what would you say to people to push their boundaries and go to places which are unexpected?
Well, first of all, obviously to each their own. So if people prefer to follow, let's say, to follow the crowd and to go to obvious places and to places where everyone goes, then well, they absolutely should do so. But at the same time, I believe they miss out on a lot of things because um, first of all, the really, let's say, the really famous places have become extremely crowded almost year round. So it's like before you had like a high season, a low season, but now some places are busy like every day of the year.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So wherever you go, let's say Eiffel Tower or Venice or you know these really famous destinations, you will always share them whenever you go. You always share them with the crowd, and it's for me, it's much more exciting to try to go to places which are less known, which are maybe even unknown, and to really discover places that you hardly ever hear about. And well, addressing what you mentioned before, like people, like of course, there's many places people don't know about, or people might even be scared, or they have this negative image, as you say. Um, this is only an image, and the reality is almost 100% of the times the reality is very different from what you might expect. And for me, the not the challenge, but the big thing about my traveling is to see this reality uh, and not to confirm the bias, the image that I might have before, because in the world we live in now, it's almost impossible not to have an image of any place in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, if I give you a name of a country, even if you haven't been there, I'm pretty sure you already have some kind of
Impression. Yeah.
yeah. Even you can't help it because this is how it works. I mean, you have an image, you maybe even have seen photos of this country or you heard stories about the country, um, and so this kind of gives you ideas before even going there. You already think you know what this is like, and what I'm trying to say is that this is very often when you actually go there and you try to go there with an open mind. Very often, it's very different from what you thought before going.
It's always very different because I've always read about. I used to read over excessively about countries before I used to travel. I used to make I used to imagine like this is how it will be, this is what I will do. But slowly my travel style also evolved. I started learning from travel, and I started I started reserving my own perceptions before going to the place, and then I started making them on my own. And it has I cannot think of a negative country I have been to, if you ask me. Every country or every place I've been to, there has been something which I have taken back, which I have learned from, I have appreciated. Sometimes it's the beauty, sometimes it's the people, sometimes it's food, sometimes it can be anything, but there's always something to appreciate, and that is where I feel people go wrong in most
Um,
places.
yeah, exactly. I completely understand what you're saying. I agree with it. For me, I think travel is more, I mean, obviously you travel because you want to see something, but for
Yes,
me, in the end, traveling is more, in the end, it's more about connecting with people
people.
and trying to understand how people live and why they do things the way they do and where they come from. And this goes both ways because it's of course it's interesting to listen to people, but I find it also works the other way around because when you visit a place, people also ask you like, where are you from and what is your country about? So you
Yes,
basically learn from each other. So
yes.
it's not a one-way street. It's a mutual uh, communication or connection that you make with people on the ground.
That's also something which I strongly agree with. Have you had some unique encounters with strangers or something like that, uh, which changed your perception about travel, which changed how you think about travel, or just some a unique interaction with a stranger which you reflect upon right now and say, "Oh wow, that was something unique or something nice."
Well, yes, obviously many. I remember what comes to mind is on my very first travel when I was 18 years old. I went. So in Europe, we have this thing called Interrail, which means that you
Yes.
can for a month you can basically take any train. It's different now, but back in the days when I was young, it was fantastic because you could without any limit you could travel on any train in Europe.
All over Europe, yeah.
So I went by myself to first I went to Morocco because it was included in the Interrail
Yeah.
system, and I connected with two guys who were my age, and we were talking, and they were saying, "Yeah, we want to study English, and can we talk to you?" So it started like a very innocent, and I was like, "Yeah, sure." I mean, we are the same age, we are the same generation. So we were talking and blah 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 and drinking tea and they were showing me around and then on the second day or the third day they suddenly started asking me like, so how many kilos do you want to buy? And I was like, what do you mean? And so it turns out that they are trying to sell me drugs. And then to smuggle. And then I was like, well, I don't want to buy anything. And then they completely turned around. So they became very angry and they demanded I should pay their money because they lost their time, as they said, because they invested a few days to
So
do a
you're,
drugs deal.
yeah,
So for me, it was like uh, it made me realize that not everyone, I mean, some people are out there to
harmless,
to
yeah,
to cheat, and so I became a little bit
self-aware.
cautious. Yeah. But then the next year I went on a train trip to the far north of Europe, to Finland, and I lost my wallet. So then, and back in those days, I didn't. You couldn't pay by phone. You didn't have cards. So if you lost your wallet, you had no money. You were basically stranded.
Yeah.
Uh, so so then there was this old couple who took me in their house, and they took care of me for a few days. They gave me money to travel back to my home, and so that was kind of a different experience.
Experience.
And then,
Yes.
but in a very different way, a few. Well, when I was traveling in Kiribati in the Pacific,
Yes.
I was on a very remote island. I mean, the country already is remote, but I was in a remote island in a remote country. And then
Yes.
someone was asking me, like, where are you from? And I told him my country. And
Yeah.
he looked at me like, I don't know where this is. And so I told him, yeah, it's somewhere near Germany and France and the United Kingdom. And because those are bigger countries that most people
Pe-
know.
Yeah.
And then he nodded and he said, "Okay, but so how many hours does it take by boat to go from Netherlands to Germany?" And I was like, I looked at him like, "Well, there is no boat. You just take a
Have to
train or you go by
fly.
car. You can even
Yeah.
cycle or walk." And but he didn't understand. And then I was like, "But well." Of course, you cannot take, there is no boat. And then he asked me about France and the same thing. I said, well, I didn't even mention there's Belgium between Netherlands and France, but and again he didn't. I said, well, there's no boat to France. You just go overland. And he just couldn't understand. And first I thought, this is weird because how does he not know that Europe is all countries are connected by land? And then suddenly I realized that this guy is from a region where your identity is shaped by your island. I mean, a country doesn't really exist. I mean, your identity is your island, or your island is your identity. And indeed, all the countries in the region, like Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Philippines, they're all Indonesia, they're all island countries.
Yes.
Um, so then suddenly it started making sense to me, like, and I tried to explain to him, like, I can travel from Europe, I can travel all the way to China without ever taking a boat. Uh, and then he said, well, that's ridiculous, that's crazy. Why would you have borders if there's no sea?
See, yeah.
And and then and then I realized that, so this is to answer your question. This was a for me it completely changed my perspective, because I was like, yeah, why do we have borders? Why is India India? I mean, it was designed by humans. Humans decided, this is the border, and
Yeah.
this is your land, this is my land.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, it's all very uh, arbitrary. Like somehow sometime maybe centuries ago, people decided, okay, this is one country and that is another country. Uh, but but for him it was like, well, that's absurd, because why would you have a border if the land is the same?
Yeah.
Uh, and it also, I was still traveling to, I still had, like, I think 40 countries to go. So it also put my whole idea,
Whole idea. Yeah.
my
I,
project of visiting every country, it
to
put it
ex
into perspective. Like,
yeah.
what am I actually doing? These countries are just invented by humans, but what does it really mean? Like, what is a border? So that was, at first I thought that this guy was ignorant, because he didn't know that you can go from one country to the next just by walking or by taking a car or a train. And then I suddenly I understood where it came from, and I was like, "But actually, he he has a point, because why is Netherlands here and Germany there?"
Why?
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely. So
so
even yeah, I also agree because sometimes travel changes perspectives, it changes how you think, it changes how you perceive things. And this is only possible when you let yourself be immersed in the country, talk to people, because I think that's what's the most exciting part of travel for me, getting to widen my perspective, getting to know more, getting to learn something which you can never learn otherwise. I have learned, I would say, more with strangers than in museums, people, more with people than in museums and in places. So I also wanted to ask you, what is something that travel taught you, which did not learn anywhere else, which you could not learn in school, which you could not learn at home or anything?
um I think in the end, it made me realize that uh, let's call it the what I call the tragedy of humankind, which is that when you talk one on one with people from anywhere, you realize that in the end, we are much more similar than we might imagine. Like we might be tall or small, we might be dark or blonde, we might be whatever, man or woman, but in the end, we have very similar wishes and needs and worries and like we all need to eat, we all need to sleep, we all need to do the same things. I mean, wherever you're from, if you're rich or you're poor, doesn't matter. In the end, we as a humankind, we are much more similar than many people want us to believe. But at the same time, um, this is for me, this is the tragedy. But at the same time, people also they are they are scared of other people. They are scared of people who are different. They and more than scared, they might be hostile to people with I don't know different beliefs or different looks or different language or so they don't understand that. And even within countries, I very often like I'm traveling around the country, and I'm let's say I'm in one town for a few days and then talk to people, I make friends, and then at a certain moment, they ask me, so where's next? And I tell them, yeah, I'm going to the next town. And then they suddenly start saying, but no, but you shouldn't go there because in that town, people are really
People are like that, yeah.
they're not friendly. They will steal your money. They will cheat you. They will treat you badly. And they try to convince me to stay and not to go to this next town. And then, of course, in the end, I go to the next town, and the same thing happens. I make friends, and I have a good time. And then at the end, they ask me, "Where are you going?" And I say, "Oh, I'll go to the next." And they say, "No, no, no, don't go there because." So what I'm trying to say is that there's this, and I never understood why there's this strange um, generalization, like yeah, or maybe even uh, a sense of superiority, like no, no, we are better, we are good, and the other people are bad, and this is. But when you meet people one on one, people like 99.9% of people are good. They
Yeah.
want to treat you properly. They will welcome you. They will help you if you need
Yeah.
something. Um, so people are very similar, but at the same time, there's this strange way of saying that no, no, the other people they're not good.
Yeah.
We are afraid of them, or we don't like them, or we maybe even we hate them, and this is that's why I'm saying it's a tragedy because when you look deep down, um, this is this is. Uh, this is just not true. It's just imagined. It's like we are from a different country. We never met before, and we have many already now in what 20 minutes we have many similar thoughts and
Things in
ideas,
common,
and
yeah.
we have a completely different background, but we are in many ways similar. So why would I end up not liking you because you have a
A
different
different
physique. Yeah, you speak a
uh,
different language, you have a
language.
different probably belief. I don't know, but um,
Yeah.
we should just respect each other for who we are, and so yeah, this is probably the most important lesson, or maybe I don't know, lesson, more a
Like
realization,
a
like
yeah, it's a strong realization. It's like a paradox, I would say.
very
Almost.
much, yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, that's very insightful. Also, you've been to like every country on earth, which whenever I think of it, I've been talking to some people who have completed this goal. It's like it's like so inspiring. It's so amazing to think of. There are more people in space than people who have visited every country in the world. So how was it like stepping into your final country? ended your journey in Cullerville, which is on the border of Ireland. And also, I had one question when I read about the final place. You're from Europe. Why did you end in Europe? Generally, people finish everything in Europe and then they complete in Africa or somewhere in Oceania or something like that. How come Ireland? Because I would assume it would be one of the first countries you would go to.
So to answer your last question first,
Yeah,
when I started when I decided to visit every country, that's almost 20 years ago. So
yeah,
like back then there were very few people who were doing it. So like now there's communities where people help each other and you can ask advice and everything. But back then there was nothing. So I didn't know anyone who had done it. So I was just doing it for myself basically. So and after a few years I started reading about two people who went to every country, and their last country was like I don't know, Somalia or Yemen or some very or
yeah, something like that.
somewhere in the Pacific. And it also, when I was reading it, I it felt like a very big anticlimax because this is obviously a project that takes many years.
Yeah,
And then I was imagining like, okay, so then you go all by yourself to this remote place and you're alone and you get your last stamp and that's it. And suddenly it's over. It's done. So I was like, I want to do it in a different way. And I was thinking ahead, like I want to celebrate with family and friends.
family and friends.
And I decided if I go to, let's say, somewhere in the Pacific, it's too far for most people. Well, most of my friends will not come to celebrate. So I decided to keep Ireland last, and it's, as you say, it's a 90-minute flight from where I live, so it's very close.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
I
That's why.
yeah, but I kept it on purpose. I kept it last
Yes,
because I wanted to make something out of it, and I'm really happy I did because it was a day I will never forget.
never
It was a
forget.
really no. So then your first question, when the moment came closer, so when I visited my second last country and my third last country, I was thinking like, oh my God, it's almost finished. So then because I actually walked across the border, I didn't fly into Ireland. So I went
Yeah,
to Northern Ireland. I went overland to the border, and then I waited because I realized if I take the next step, then it's done. And
it's done.
but then of course I took the last step, and I was really happy that I had many people to be there with me. Uh, but um, but it was only so I felt weird. It was a weird feeling because I had been uh, working on this for like
Yeah,
so many
so
years,
many
and
years. Yeah,
suddenly I was like, okay, so this is it. And it was only like 10 days later, I was in New York for work, and it was a beautiful day. I went to the UN headquarters, and in front of the headquarters, there's all the flags of the
flags.
UN member states.
Yeah,
So, and
yeah,
they're ordered in alphabetical order. So they start in Afghanistan and in Zimbabwe. And then I walked from A to Z, and stopping at almost every flag and thinking back of my memories of the
wow.
adventures I had in every country. And only then did I start to realize like, oh my God, this was something really big. So it took time for me to realize all the things I had seen, all the things I had done, and the people I met. So then pretty soon afterwards, I decided that I should write a book about about my adventures and about
Yes,
everything I saw.
yes. And I would also like to ask about your book, which I have with me right here.
Ah, there,
Yeah,
great.
that's yes. I'm already halfway through the book. I'm loving
Ah,
it. It's not a travel guide at all.
no.
It's not a book for people who want to know what to do in each country. It's about It's about people, it's about places, about the unsaid things, it's about places which are unique. And it is such a inspiring book. It's such a fascinating book. And can you tell what inspired this? What made you write about places like Nauru or places like Afghanistan, which is so intriguing to read about, something which I would have not. These things don't come up on your social media. These things don't come up on your news page. So, what made you write about this? What inspired you, and what can people expect from it?
Thank you for asking. To be honest, when I was a young guy, like I don't know, 6, 7 years old, and
Yeah,
when people start asking you, what do you want to become when you're older? And normally as a boy, you're supposed to say fireman or policeman or doctor or pilot or something like this, right? And even then, I always answered like I want to be a writer. So writing has always been something in my heart, so to say. As I said, when I finished my last country, I was like, I need to, I want to share all the things
all the
because I was often talking to people about my adventures, and then I have my website where I share stories, but that's different because it's short, and on the internet you cannot really you can it's also visual. So I publish my photos, and that's all very nice, but uh, to really write about more deeply about the things I had seen and the people I met, I realized I can only do it in a book. And then I took a few years to think about how to write it, because there's many ways you can, as you say, you can
go
write a
about it.
travel,
Yeah.
yeah, you can write a travel guide, or you can write like a diary, or and I didn't want to do to do that. So and then I realized, because many people were asking me like isn't it very dangerous, and you go to all these places like Afghanistan, Somalia, and
Oh, yeah.
there's war, and so then I realized that this should be the hook for my book. So I wanted to answer this question and to show basically what we talked about at the beginning of this interview, to show people that the reality on the ground is very different
Different from.
from the image that most people have because of media, because of uh, reputation. So I want to show that in every country uh, there's people living, and people living their lives on a daily basis, even though it's a war country. So it gives you a better understanding, I hope, for better understanding of the world, to show the reality and not confirm the bias image that people might have. So,
Yes.
and I also want to show in the book, I want yeah, hopefully inspire people to not be afraid because wherever you go, even if you go to a war country, and maybe even more so in a war country, people are also curious about you. People want to help you. People want to show their lives,
Yeah.
and it really if you dare to take these steps, it really helps you to open your mind and to have a better understanding of this big world we're living in. So and actually I liked writing the book so much that I'm just publishing a second. This is the
Wow.
sequel of it's coming out very soon. This is the first copy. Um,
Wanderlust.
Wonder Heart.
Wonder Heart. Sorry.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
This is about Kirkham.
So
Yeah. Wonder Heart.
when as if by the time you finish my first book, it should be out. Um,
Yes.
but it's again to show well, it's basically already in the title, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It's about following your heart,
Heart.
not be afraid. Do the things that your heart tells you to do.
Yes.
And because I believe that it might be scary, of course, because you often uh, yeah, you leave your comfort zone, you go outside of your borders, and you leave your home, you leave your cozy place that's very
Yeah,
easy to be in, and you
yeah,
go somewhere strange, and you have to survive and find your way. And in the beginning, of course, it can be daunting, it can be scary, it can feel like what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And then, but in the end, I find that in the end, the reward is much bigger than all the fear that you might have before.
yes, and it's like I when I read this book, the first when I started reading this book, like I strongly feel that you need to follow your heart after reading. That's what your perspective has been, and it's such a great segue into the next book also, because because that's what the feeling I got when I read this book as well, that you should follow your heart. And it's I'm very excited for the second one as well. I also I have this question which I'm asking. I don't want to ask what your favorite country is because
Thank you.
I don't have an answer to that. If people ask me, I just am
I
blank.
because this is the most common question I get,
Yes,
and
yes,
I always reply with a question, and I say, suppose you have three children, and someone asks you, who is your favorite child?
yeah,
You can never say like, oh yeah, he's my favorite child, and I don't like the other one. You cannot say
yes.
that. So,
You cannot,
and
you
it
cannot.
and it's the same for countries. As you said, I really appreciated appreciate what you said before, that um, you have never been to a country which you didn't like, because there's
Yes,
and because this is another question some people ask, like, which country would you never go back to? And I was like, there is no country I would never go back to, because
exactly,
there's
absolutely,
something, every country is unique, and every country has something to go for it. So there's no,
absolutely.
I don't believe you can say like, oh yeah, please avoid this country, because of course you might have a negative experience in the country, if people steal your money or something bad happens,
Yes,
but this is just
one off. It's
one
a one off thing.
one instance which basically
Yeah,
can happen in any country.
any country. Yeah.
So yeah. So sorry, back to your question.
No, yes, so you're right. So, like, you know, that guy who was trying to sell you drugs in Morocco, that could even happen in, I don't know, South Africa. So,
Exactly. Anywhere.
why would you get deterred not to go to Morocco again? So, exactly. So, I agree with that. So, but I would like to ask you, which are some places which are some regions of the world or some countries where you would encourage people to go, where you were surprised in some sort of way, where you found something unique? Some places, not in any particular order, just some random places which you found very fascinating or you loved.
So the first thing coming to mind would be not just a country, but a region, which is
Yes,
The
sure.
Pacific.
Yes, yes,
Before going to the Pacific, I had this preconception, like the Pacific is all about islands and beaches, and I'm not much of a beach person, so I was like, yeah, that's going to be pretty boring.
yeah.
And I imagine, because there's many different countries
Small
in the
countries,
Pacific,
yeah.
but I thought, they're all more or less the same. So then when I went there, and I fortunately I had 3 months to travel around, at least most of the Pacific. And when I really went there, I discovered that actually I was completely wrong. So so the Pacific surprised me probably in the biggest way, in that I found, because it's a very unknown destination, like many places, even in South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, like many people already have an image of these places. And for Pacific, it's relatively very unknown. And so I found that there's islands with volcanoes. There's old ruins. There are, of course, there are beaches, but there's so much more. And as I said before, every island basically has have their own, even within countries. Every island have their own
Their own
identity.
identity, yeah.
So it's I thought it was much more fascinating than I ever imagined before going. So for me, the Pacific, that's the first thing coming to mind. Um, which other countries? I mean, when you travel with an open mind, I think, and you try to forget the image that you have. For
Yes.
me, almost every country is in a way surprising. Like, and it can be in small things, like you meet someone or you eat something that you hadn't have never tried before, or you see something happening, and it can be. I really like the small. I really like appreciating the smaller things, like when you go to France, of course, you want to see the Eiffel Tower. That's a big thing, and it's like a cliche icon, right? But
Yes.
there's so many smaller things which, for me, in the end, are much more valuable to do or
And
see or experience. And this can be, yeah, almost in every country. Like, uh,
yeah. And coming back to what you just said, I'm asking this question to everybody who comes on the interviews. If I dropped you in a new place, what would be your approach to see the place, explore the place, get the vibe of the place? What would you do?
uh, if you drop me in a place I don't know, right?
Yeah, if I dropped you in a place where
It's
you
like.
don't know, what would be your approach to explore it, to get to know about it? What would you do?
Um, I think the first thing I would try to meet someone and connect and see and just ask. I mean, supposing that this is a place where I don't know anything about,
Yeah.
it's a new place for me. I've never been there before. Yeah, I would just try to find someone who I can talk to. Hopefully, we find a common language, and then
Yes.
and then try to ask, like, well, tell me about your place, and what is here, and how is your life? What do you do? Maybe what are things to see or experience here? So yeah,
Yes.
so
So you and while
it's an
reading your website,
exciting idea.
exciting idea. And also, I also have this thing. I also read up on your website, and I heard you speak a lot of languages as well. So it wouldn't be tough to find somebody who speaks the same language
Yeah,
as
it's.
you.
I mean, I speak six languages, but there's thousands of languages in the world. So
Yes, yes, yes. That's also true. But I feel that people are also having some misconceptions to travel. People are not traveling because of language. People are not traveling because of certain these things. That they should leave it behind and just explore. And it would be so enriching. And also after one visiting 193 countries, what part of travel makes you excited today? What makes you going? You're just I'm seeing your pictures on your website and they're absolutely stunning. I have to commend you on that. I just saw your picture on the Gorongoro crater recently, which you went to, which I also went to, and I have a very similar picture to that. So a little bit of nostalgia also. So what keeps you going? What keeps you inspired?
it's still the same curiosity I had when I was a young child. I mean, and it's very I would almost say, like, it's almost like a naive curiosity, like a very pure sense of wanting to explore and to see something new. And for instance, when I was on my way to Ngorongoro, what is it, 2 weeks ago, I was super excited because it's somewhere I hadn't been before. I was it was a beautiful day, which of course helped, but just being on the move and knowing that you're going to see something that you haven't seen before,
In before
even this alone already makes me super excited. Um, and it's I don't know, it sounds weird, but it's not, it hasn't changed over the years. I mean, this and I uh like last week I went hiking in Brazil, and I saw a lot of different waterfalls, and I've seen probably hundreds of waterfalls
Hundred
in my
what for?
life,
Yeah.
and they're all different. But I still appreciate it doesn't have to be the biggest or the highest or the widest or whatever. Uh, even a small waterfall can make me really happy to see. So uh, so I still
That's
have this
the
this yeah
curiosity.
this
Yes.
appreciation
Uh,
of the beauty of our planet. Um, and at the same time also, yeah, as I said before, meeting, because wherever you go, even if you have been 10 times to a country, you by definition you meet people you have never met before. So
yes.
in a way, it's always a new experience and a new adventure to go somewhere.
Yes,
And
I had this question in mind, which I'm going to start, which I was going to ask you, that what keeps you motivated, but I think I already got the answer to that. It's the curiosity, it's the sense of exploring our wonderful planet. And you're right, it does not need to be the biggest thing in the world. It does not need to be the tallest thing in the world. It can just be something small, something very small can have the most meaningful impact sometimes as well,
to,
which again I was in Oman and I saw this. I've seen, as you said, I've seen thousands of lakes. I've seen it's in India itself. I've seen so many things, but when I reached in Oman, I was in front of a wadi, which they call a valley, and
Mhm.
it was so clear, the water, and then the way the rocks were. I don't know, it just made me emotional in a very weird kind of a way, which there was nothing world breaking about that. It was like, but just looking at that place, I don't know what happened. Some neurological things happened, some body process, biological things happened, and I don't know. It just made me very emotional to be at that moment. And I think that happens with you as well. It's the curiosity, it's the adventure, and that's what keeps you going. So that was something I was
But
about to ask, which gave me the answer, which you gave
yeah,
me the answer.
well, those are for me, those are the most memorable moments when you travel and and as you say, you because I have the same. You can sometimes get really emotional.
Yes.
I had moments where I had like chicken skin just by seeing something.
Yeah.
And I even had moments where I was crying. And it sounds weird, but it was like seeing, it can be a landscape or even meeting someone. Like I once met two very poor people in Sudan, like extremely poor. Their clothes were completely worn, and it was very clear they didn't have any money. It was a mother traveling with her son. And I was wondering how I could help them. And we were traveling on a bus for like almost the whole day. And then at one point they got off the bus, and before I knew it, of course, I didn't know they were getting off the bus, and they disappeared. And then at the end of the drive, I wanted to pay for the bus ride, and the driver said, "Ah, no, but they already paid for you." So the really poor people
Wow.
who I wanted to help because they looked so poor,
They helped
they
you.
yeah, without even telling me, they had paid my bus ride. And so this was a moment which made me very emotional, because I was like, it also felt like unfair, because I was like, no, I wanted to help you. Why would you?
Why would you help?
I mean, I have money to pay the bus ride, but you don't. And why did you pay by? So it was, but for them it was a matter of being welcoming to a foreigner. This really touched me, because and Sudan, we were talking about it before. Sudan has a pretty bad reputation.
Bad,
Unfortunately now the situation is even worse than before.
worse.
Um, but this shows. I mean, these people were
Um,
very. They didn't have anything, and the little they had, they made sure to share it with me. So it made me feel very humble, very uh,
yes.
so
Uh, it's a very humbling experience. And when you talk about places like this, I also spoke with Gunnar Garfos recently, and he also shared a very good, very moving story about how he loves Sudan as well and that part of the world. And it just, it just, it just keeps you motivated talking to people like you and people who have traveled, people who have seen the entire world. It just makes me happy that people are exploring. It just makes me feel more motivated, and I'm so happy I could talk to you today. It's been a wonderful conversation. And I would like to ask you, since you're speaking to a 19-year-old boy who's in India and who's very excited about travel, I would like to ask you one question. What is one advice you have for people who have this curiosity to see the world? What would you say to them? Just a piece of advice.
Well, the only thing I can say is just do it. Just go for it. Yeah, as I said before, follow your heart, and don't be afraid, and take your time. Like I sometimes see also younger people like racing through many countries.
Rushing.
Yeah, again, I mean, if that's what you want to do, of course, I'm not going to stop you, but just realize that you're missing out on a lot of things. And if you take your time, and then travel becomes a really life-changing activity, because you if you're open to it, um, it can really teach you, as you said before, it can teach you much more than you will probably ever learn in any school or any university. So, uh, but it requires some effort. It requires time, and it requires, like, yeah, maybe a little bit of courage. Like, uh, as you said, you go to Tunisia and people are saying, oh, they don't know Tunisia. And then it quickly becomes like maybe scary to get there. But
Yes, yes,
there's really nothing scary about Tunisia, or basically any country in the world.
absolutely.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
that would be, yeah, just go.
Just go.
Yeah.
Yes. And
And don't be, because if you really, I want to share one, because that for me, that's a very
sure, sure, sure.
inspiring story. So and it shows like that travel, if you really want to travel, it can be done by anyone. And even if you don't have money, you can travel. And my big example for this is, I read a book about a guy from Togo. Like he was born in a small village in Togo, no money, no, like a very, let's say, very bad passport and everything. And his dream as a child was to go to travel to Greenland, which for
Wow.
which for a boy from Togo is a
So
very
good.
weird. It's a very weird thing. So um, so his story goes like he left his when he was 18, he left his home, and he worked and traveled and worked and traveled to make his way overland, all the way to Denmark. And then he stayed, I think, 1 year in Denmark to earn enough money to pay for the ship to take him
Tip to
to
Greenland.
Greenland. So he made it. And it took him many years. I mean, it took him, I don't know how many years, but for me, it's the ultimate example that even if you're from a small village in Africa, uh, you can
Yeah.
travel all the way to Greenland,
He,
which now for most people, it's like it's a very expensive, difficult destination. Of course, you can most people fly there, but this for me shows that if you're really dedicated, and if you really pursue your dreams, almost anything can be done.
exactly. Even I like when you talked about this, something else also came to mind. I studied for 2 years in Singapore, and in for schooling for my 11th and 12th for my high schooling. And there was this girl from Malawi who came to Singapore to the same school to study, and she came as a scholar, and she also had this desire to travel the world. And she applied through some African committee to come to this school in Singapore, and she got in on a scholarship, and she was paid $40 a week in Singapore, which is tough to go by, and because in Singapore it's an expensive country. So she saved and saved, and at the end of the 2 years, she had enough money that she could do a small tour around Southeast Asia. And then when I asked her after 1 year, she said, "I've never left Malawi in 17 years. After that, I came to Singapore after the scholarship, and that was my dream since I was a child to travel the world." And I was like, wow, like you are from a small town in Malawi, you have this aspiration, you have studied hard because this scholarship is tough to get. So she put her things to it and she just pushed through it. And then I realized something which we have is privilege and we should. And I again felt so humble, like you said in that moment, that you can do it. It's just you have to put your dreams and your goals in the right direction, and you can push through.
And and this is a shout out to well, to everyone listening or seeing your this interview, because um I'm as you say, I'm very privileged in that I have one of the strongest passports in the
In
world.
the world, yeah.
I'm from Europe. I'm a man, and I very much admire, because I know some women from uh, let's say
Low passport country.
those
Yeah.
passport countries. Yeah, it's a bad name, but it's, yeah, from countries where your passport is like it
Not
gives you many extra headaches. Um, and when I see those people travel and I hear their stories, I realize that for them it's way more difficult, but they still do it. So I really admire their drive. And in case any woman is seeing this interview, please don't think that you are out because you're a woman, because your example also proves it. Like, it is doable. I mean, women do it, even though it might seem impossible or extremely difficult. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's not impossible. So, um, and I really find these people very inspiring, and as I said, I greatly admire them because for them it's so much more difficult than for me. I mean, for me, in the end, of course, some places are difficult to get to, and sometimes you have some visa
yes,
problems or something. But
yes,
compared to those people, it's for me, it's way easier. So
yes. So that is absolutely true, and such a great way to put it out there. That just go for it, be motivated, and yes, I'm so grateful that you took out the time to speak with me. It was a pleasure talking to you. I learned so much. Like, yeah, when I hear about stories across the world, it is absolutely fascinating. I can never get bored of it. And safe travels. And thank you for taking out the time to speak with me once again.
no, it was a pleasure. It was an honor. I must confess, I'm a little bit jealous of you because you're 19 years old and you have so much ahead of you. So many beautiful places. So I wish you a lot of fantastic encounters and adventures, and uh, yeah, enjoy. Just
Thank
go for it.
you.
I'll be following you.
Yes.
Really exciting to be in touch with you. So, and
Yes.
I'm sure we will stay in touch. Hopefully meet
Yes.
as well, because
Yes, definitely. I would love to.
I come to India pretty often. So
Yeah, whenever
so
you are in India, let me know. I'll definitely show you around wherever you are in, and it would be my pleasure. And someday, if I visit the Netherlands, I would definitely, if you are over there, I would definitely get in touch.
great, or somewhere else.
Or somewhere else,
Because
wherever the
yeah,
road leads us,
exactly.
wherever the road leads us.
Great.
Yes.